Hey, welcome back to Spirit Music Meetups. Mike Burris here. I'm looking at this December 8th, 2020 dream about Buddy Rich and his Lifetime Achievement Award. You know, I've had a lot of music dreams, and that's why this is anointed, prophetic, spontaneous music website. And you can look at my drum tab and the music tab. And I just love God's dreams about music, and he's calling me to more than what I'm even doing right now. I get sidetracked, as we all do, and I really looked up to Buddy Rich. He was my hero. I was in so I'm gonna just go right into the dream. I was in an auditorium with a lot of people. I looked to my right, and about two people down on the very end of the row was Buddy Rich, the greatest drummer there has ever been, in my opinion, a lot of people's opinion, and few will dispute that. He was very old and very feeble, very tired looking, and racked with pain, and very hunched over. And this was his posture problem he had most of his life. You'll see, he really hunched over the drums, as he was always hunched over his drum set. Yes, I never saw Buddy Rich at the end of his life. I kind of lost track of him. I grew up watching him, but I knew he had all kinds of healthcare problems due to his cigarette smoking and his lifestyle of drinking. And so I don't know if that's what he looked like, but he looked in pretty bad shape. I mean, I guess I could go try to find pictures of him. He looks pretty bad on some of his drum set solos. Well, this whole event was to honor him like a Lifetime Achievement Award. And there was a drum set up there on stage with his signature emblem BR on the front of the bass drum head. And when they called him, he stepped out onto the aisle. When I looked right at him, I knew who he was, even though he was very much older than I remember him. And he just ignored me. Why would he? Why would he pay attention to me? He doesn't even. Well, that was very typical of Buddy Rich, actually. I was looking right at him, and he just totally ignored me. He had a super big ego, and nobody who worked with him in any of his bands liked him. They actually hated him because he was very vulgar and very demeaning, like a taskmaster, just whipping them, constantly whipping and berating them into the perfection that he had in his mind for his band. He always ran his own bands, right? And he would even be nasty to Johnny Carson on the Johnny Carson show. I saw it. Unbelievable. He never really was considered a teacher, though a few people, there's some videos of him just lashing out to his band members and one F-bomb after another. Wow. He never really was considered a teacher, though a few people like Johnny Carson took lessons from him. He never published any books of his own, but other people published one book from excerpts of his playing. But he never really taught people or desired to teach people, though he taught Johnny Carson. He was a player, and he didn't even believe in practice. He said that. He was a child prodigy from the age of 2, dragged out on the stage in vaudeville acts by his dad, much like Mozart was by Leopold. So who knows what drove this man? He seemed to be very angry, but he was a musical genius, and he let everybody know it. Well, he stepped out onto the aisle, and it took him forever to get to the stage, and I seriously questioned what he could possibly play on his drum set because his body was barely moving. I think that drum set was actually, just a prop to award him and give him his honor. Well, he got enormous applause, and it went on and on and on. So he received great glory from man. As I stood back in awe watching this, I heard the Lord say as clearly as day, "He has received his reward." As I thought about how sad this situation was because he couldn't even play a drum set, and he was about to die, and this is the best he got out of it? A trophy and some applause, glory from men. But he got rich. He did. Buddy Rich. Isn't that interesting? He got rich. throughout his life and much praise from men. So he got his reward. And now it's all about to end. It's already fading away and about to vanish forever. And sure enough, he died, and he wasn't even that old. And it was all taken away from him. All this glory. He was on the top of the world. He had a kingdom. He was the king of drumming, called jazz music and big band swing. And everybody idolized him. And I became a drummer because of watching him, right? He was even on the Muppets. And it has faded away like the flowers in the field. Just as Jesus said, the great people's glory would be. You see, this is also in Psalms. I sat there and felt terrible sadness for him for a long time in the dream and even after the dream. I'm sure God is showing me all this because he told me a couple weeks ago or a month ago at the time that I was not a professional drummer. Even though I've played in 37 bands for 52 years and I pride myself on great performances. And when he told me this, I was devastated for 2 weeks. Now I understand why he wanted to take that vain glory away. Why he wanted to take away that very finite pathway. It doesn't go anywhere. It suddenly vanishes. And it seems like it is futile. So you can see my story page, and I'll just say since then, I have had struggles with letting go and letting God. I've had struggles with letting go of this identity. So I have an identity page of letting go of the identity. I am a professional drummer because I still make so many professional videos of drumming, and I have all my students and here at the house, and I've even contemplated doing Zoom teaching because I love drumming. And I know that drumming is a passion that God has given me. And it's one thing to love drumming, and what God is calling me to do is anointed, prophetic, spontaneous drumming, and I've gone out into the parks and everything. You can look at my God declarations. And so he's trying to move me from what I was into something new. And I was like, but I'm a professional drummer. And then COVID hit, and all my gigs went up, just vanished away. And I kept saying, oh, they're going to come back. But they haven't come back. There's still so many rules. And I have natural immunity. So, we survived COVID, and I can't get a release from my doctors. I got 2 doctors, and they said, no, we will not give you a release to get a vaccine. Like, what do I do? And so I've got to follow my doctors, and they're saying you don't need it, and we're not gonna give a recommendation for that. So who's right? Some people are, government agencies are saying one thing, and pharmaceuticals that seem to be related to them, or highly related to them, they're saying another thing, and then my doctors are saying another thing, but the Holy Spirit is just telling me trust. Just trust. Just trust. And if he tells me one thing, I'll do it. If he tells me another thing, I'll do it. But I'm going to do what he tells me to do. And my wife is in the same place. So what I'm saying is I still haven't got these gigs, right? And I keep thinking I want those gigs. I want, hey, I want to do what I used to do. But I feel like God is saying, nah, I got something way better for you. It's glory. It's glorious. Right, I know it's glorious to play in these. I played in 37 bands, 22 secular, 15 in church. And in church, a lot of the church bands were just as disappointing, and for a lot of reasons, because they're not too far from the world. They borrow a lot from the world. It's just amazing. So that's a whole nother can of worms, isn't it? But he's saying, I have something so much better for you. You just have to go with the flow. You have to listen to me. Start listening to me. And don't go for this vain glory. The vain glory of the world. Trust me, I'll get you there, he says. And I look at these great drummers and I realize I'm not going to be one of these great drummers because they sacrifice too much. I'm not willing to sacrifice all those things. And they got to the top of the mountain and they got their pat on the shoulder. People bowed, I'm not worthy. But it was vainglory. So God's got something better for me. And if you have a story about this, put it down below and we'll talk about it together. So, what an eye-opener that was. And all the evil that poor Buddy just vented on people, just dumped on people. And he's going to have to answer for all that, you know. All his great drumming is not going to undo that. He still is going to have to answer to that. There's a judgment. And the Lord has something better for his people. Not vainglory down here on earth. It all fades away like the grass and the herb. As soon as the sun comes out, little water, they don't get enough water. I got a lot of plants. I planted a lot of plants. They all just fade away. Home Depot and Lowe's, I've had to return a lot of plants because I didn't know whether it was their planting problems, because a lot of plants die. Have you seen the clearance racks at these places? They just die. I don't know what it is. Bad watering, no watering, too much watering, disease, bugs in the, grubs. I don't know. So too much light, not enough light. There's a lot of things that cause plants to die. But anyway. Well, look forward to your input, all right? God bless you. Bye-bye.